because I pay the throttle, an impeccable model of everything you've ever seen in your worst dreams and horrible nightmares at home in the night air. And yo, I'ma warn you one time, I don't fight fair. Cause I can bust you like a question mark block.
What's up, my wizards? It's Dev from SBMTG down there on the YouTube.com. We like magic. Here with Ziggy the Big Old Kitty to give you something you've been asking for in the comments section for like weeks now. Here's Green White Cats. He is, to tell the truth, he is really hating this right now. I'm gonna let you go for now, buddy. I got other cats. I got other cats. I got cats on cats on cats. I got cats on playmats, as a matter of fact. So, I'm ready for this deck. And so are you guys. You guys have been asking me for this for a while now. So, I feel like I owe it to you, especially since I'm the resident cat weirdo in the MTG community. So, here's a cat deck for standard, and it's only going to cost you 20 bucks. See, I got another cat already. What's up, Julie? You guys know Julie. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this deck here, starting with the creatures, and they're all cats. Big surprise. Best thing about this deck is that we get a lot of budget options that are actually not really terrible. So to show that off, let's start with the one drops. We're going to play 4 copies of Scythe Leopard in the deck and 4 copies of Sacred Cat. Well, Sacred Cat doesn't quite get 9 lives, but it does get 2 lives. It's double the amount of lives all our other cats get. So even though it's just a 1-mana 1/1, it's not bad in terms of like getting you a little bit later into the game. It can block twice. It's got the lifelink, gain you a little bit back, you know. Just a good utility creature. Not bad at all. You know, I'll take it as a 1-drop. And it's cool that it can come back against like control decks and decks that are heavy on removal and stuff. So Sacred Cat, you're not a terrible 1-drop. And Scythe Leopard, a lot of people probably forgot about this dude, but he's still in the format. He's still a kitty cat, and he still has like the best art of any cat in the whole deck. And that usually doesn't count, but this is a pretty kitty. This is a pretty kitty right here. And not only is she a pretty little princess paws, but she's also got sharp claws too, you know. Just a 1-mana thing that can be a 2/2. It's not so bad. In the early game, this will almost always be a 2/2 for like at least the first 3 or 4 turns of the game. So that's always good. And it turns your like late game land drops that you usually don't care about into, you know, something a little bit better at least. You know, they make your 6 land drop count a little bit more. So that's good about Scythe Leopard too. I'll never sneeze at a potential 1-mana 2/2. Card's fine, and it's a cat, so we'll play it. That's a lot of 1-drops, you know, it's 8 1-drop creatures, but we gotta be quick, like a cat. You know, we gotta strike fast, and so I'm gonna play mostly 1 and 2 drops in the deck. So let's get started with the 2 drops here, starting with the 4 copies of Longtusk Cub. Well, this is a standard all-star, you know, and we're playing a slight energy theme in the deck to support this guy a little bit. Just like, you know, having a 1-mana possible 2/2 is nice. It's also good to have a 2-mana possible 3/3. You know, we have to jump through some hoops to get to this, but this guy has proven himself in a few decks, and even though you don't have Winding Constrictor to make him, like, way better, he's still at least a passable 2-drop. And again, he's a cat, and he's probably, or definitely really, the best 2-drop cat, so I'll play all 4. I'm going to play 4 Scrounging Bandar too, and I know this is a cat monkey, but that's still technically a cat. And it's also the best creature type that's ever existed, so we're going to play 4 copies of that right there. And Scrounging Bandar is actually, like, usually pretty impressive. I've played him in a couple of decks at this point. He was actually really good in the Green-Black Constrictor deck. Like, if you're making budget Constrictor, Scrounging Bandar is actually, like, really sick. You can just move these counters to other stuff, you know. You can make some of your other cats a little bit bigger, and that's sometimes really awesome. Okay, Julie, I get it. She's gone. She's gone. And if nothing else, like, you top deck in the late game, and it's just, like, 2 counters on creatures for 2 mana. That's not so bad. Like, I'd rather have that than a 2-mana 2/2 on turn 9. You know, I'd rather be able to make my 2/2 into a 4/4, like a couple of 2/2s into 3/3s. A lot of times on most board states, that's pretty advantageous. So, just, you know, a pretty utility dude that has a lot of uses. Scrounging Bandar is always better than he looks. To round out the 2-drops, I'm just going to play 2 copies of Initiate's Companion. I don't think this guy's, like, super important or anything, but there are arguments to play in him, you know. Walking Ballista isn't as played anymore, so he's not as vulnerable to that as he would be just a few weeks ago. So we got that going for us. There's a couple of decks that you can achieve more or less naked boards against, all the way up to turn 3 or 4, you know. Against the blue-red control deck, which people are still playing, this is pretty good if you get it down on the play. They have to do something about it. They have to answer it, you know. And Aetherworks Marvel, sometimes you can just goldfish against that deck until they drop Marvel. And in that case, and against blue-red control, if you can resolve it early, this thing can do like 6 damage or even 9 sometimes before you know it. You know, it's pretty aggressive 2-drop that's, you know, 3 power that we don't have to jump through hoops for. And the floor on its ability is that it untaps itself. That's not bad, you know. So a little bit of utility to the guy too. He's just not horrible, but I don't want to go crazy and play a bunch of copies. I think 2's fine. I'm going to play 4 copies of Prowling Serpopard in the deck because he's awesome. He's just more or less like the best cat that we can play. I mean, 3 mana, 4 power dude, that's at least on curve, if not slightly above curve. You know, that's pretty good. Right there, I'll take that. And he's really awesome against control, you know. They basically have to answer this guy or he's just going to keep resolving creatures, and that's really bad for them. Like, if you can get down a Serpopard, the deck actually has some like decent games against control as long as you can stick him and he stays out, you know. So can't be countered and keeps all your other dudes from being countered. That's really stupid sweet against control. But against other decks, he's just like a decently curved creature, you know. On turn 3, having a 4 power guy will at least enable you to trade a lot of the time, and you know, he's meaty too. Sometimes this guy will do 4 or 8 damage for you over the course of a game. So Prowling Serpopard is probably purely the best cat that we can play, maybe. So we're definitely going to play all 4. I'm going to play 2 copies of Aetherstream Leopard in the deck, and the only reason I'm playing this guy over like Pouncing Cheetah, which does get a sideboard slot, don't worry, is because I want a little bit more energy synergy. You know, we've got a couple of cards that produce energy in the deck for Longtusk Cub. I just wanted another one, and this can also like eat the energy from Cub if you wanted to. That's also cool. So, you know, it's a decent card. It can be a 3 mana, 4 power guy, just like Serpopard. We have to work a little bit for it, but I think it's worth it. Again, this is a budget deck, so we don't have a whole lot of options in this slot. You could always play Pouncing Cheetah instead if you wanted, but I like the energy synergy a little bit more because I think it's really, really worth it to play Longtusk Cub, and I want a couple of support cards for it. And yeah, I'm aware it doesn't provide a whole lot of support for Longtusk Cub, but it at least provides a little bit, and sometimes you'll just need 1 energy, you know? So it's not terrible. 3 mana, 2/3s aren't bad to begin with, but when it can essentially be a 4 power guy sometimes, that's pretty awesome. Or should I say clawsome? Cat puns are dumb. But anyway, I'm going to finish off the creatures here with 4 copies of Regal Caracal because we need, I mean, obviously it's building up to this. You know, we need an Anthem effect in the deck. This thing makes all of our cats bigger, which is just so great. It creates 2 cats of its own. Sometimes you'll get 2 Regal Caracals out at the same time, like just 5th turn Caracal, 6th turn Caracal. It's just like really awesome, actually. Like, if you've been able to amass some sort of board state up to that point, you can resolve a couple of Caracals. Like, you actually really, really increase your win percentage a lot. Like, obviously, this is a $20 budget deck that's themed cats, so it's not going to win every game. But if you can play a Caracal or 2, you will drastically increase your odds of winning. So, just probably the other best cat in the deck next to Prowling Serpopard. Gotta play all 4. I know it's a 5-drop, but we gotta play all 4 because it's an Anthem effect. We really, really want that. And it's like a Siege Gang Commander or something. It just comes with a small army. Like, even after a Fumigate or something, if you can resolve one of these, you're just instantly back on board. And it's really, really good against aggro, giving you a couple of, like, big lifelink guys. It's just really, that's really sweet. So, card definitely has its uses. It's not fringe or anything. We got to play all 4. I'm actually going to go a little bit higher on the curve than just 5-drop here and play 2 copies of Ajani Unyeilding. Because, you know, it's cat deck. Got to pay homage to the King of Cats. And this isn't the absolute best version of Ajani that's ever existed, but it's still removal. We're short on that in this deck, so we'll take the removal. And it does other stuff. You know, it's card advantage. That's not bad. You get the ultimate off. You're in really good shape. So, you know, I feel like we can afford a couple of copies of this in the deck. We'll get to 6-drop, you know, a lot of the time. So that's cool. And it's, you know, again, cat deck. Let's play Mufasa. Really shouldn't have to explain it too much. Just, you know, long live the king. But we're going to play some spells in this deck because that's advisable. In a magic deck. So let's start with 4 copies of Attune with Aether here, which is basically honorary lands. You know, but we also need the synergy with Longtusk Cub. We've got to, you know, this immediately. If we can get turn 1 Attune with Aether, turn 2 Longtusk Cub, we have a 2 mana 3, 2 mana 3 power guy immediately. So that's pretty sweet right there. And it also just allows us to find the colors of mana that we need. Really important to fix mana in this deck that's just running basics, you know. So really important to have a card that does that too. And this even gets a little extra synergy with Scythe Leopard, you know, guarantees a landfall trigger at the very least. So, you know, Attune, it's probably one of the top 5 most popular and most played cards in Standard. We're no dummies, so we're going to play the card too. We're going to finish off the main deck here with some removal, because that is also advisable when you're building a magic deck. So we're going to play 4 copies of Compulsory Rest, because catnaps. The puns are probably killing you by now, I'm sorry. Although catnap, that pun deserves a round of applause. It's so bad. It's really bad. But anyway, Compulsory Rest actually is not too bad. And yeah, if you had some bucks, you could always play Declaration of Stone, Stasis Snare, Cast Out. There's obviously other white removal options, but this thing's only like 5 cents, and it works. Like, you can slap this on an Ulamog and make people really mad. You know, like, they got to blow up a couple of permanents, yes, but when you get to go, you just throw a Compulsory Rest on it, and now their Ulamog that they spent all that time, you know, just all that gathering of energy, all that spinning of Marvel, you know, just like they finally hit it, they're so happy, and you just throw your 5-cent enchantment on it. And there's really not much they can do about it other than sack it and gain the 2 life, which is not much of a consolation. We're going to play 22 lands in the deck. Seems low, I know, when we're playing like a 6-drop and 4 or 5 drops, but Attune with Aether will help us an awful lot in our mission to get to 6, you know, and we really just want to play a bunch of cats in this deck, so I wanted to make some room. 22 lands is fine when we've essentially got 26 lands. I am counting Attune with Aether. I'll be that guy. But obviously, if you had a couple of bucks or just these cards, you can always throw in Aether Hub. That helps with the energy synergy and produces whatever mana you want, at least the one time, you know. And you could throw in, like, Fortified Village, Canopy Vista, Green-White Bicycle Land, whatever you've got, chuck them in, you know, make this a little bit better. There's also a Green-White Tap Land that's uncommon, only costs like 10 cents, but I just really want our lands coming to play untapped because we're trying to curve out, if you didn't notice. So, really want to play as many untapped lands as we possibly can. Here's our sideboard right here, which we're also trying to go like super budget with, but there's a bunch of options for this sideboard. I'm going to go with Gryff's Boon, though, against Flyers, and we could play like Clipwings or any of the other million green cards that take care of specifically Flyers, but I like the idea of making our cats fly. So I'll just play Gryff's Boon and block Flyers. You know, if our cats die, we can always get the Boon back, whatever. You know, sometimes this is make it, you know, we can get really good attacks in with a Boon. It's just 1 mana, you know, screw it, let's play it. We're going to play 4 Dissenter's Deliverance. And you could also play, like, Forsake the Worldly if you're into that. There's other stuff. But I really like Dissenter's Deliverance. It's very, very cheap. It's instant speed. It just costs the 2 to play and the 1 to cycle if we want to cycle. I just really like Deliverance. And I don't feel like we need to play something like Forsake the Worldly that gets rid of enchantments when we have the option of playing Felidar Cub in the sideboard. You know, at least for the next 5 months or so. So this can take care of enchantments, and it's a cat, so I feel obligated to play it. Same thing with Pouncing Cheetah. You know, this functions sometimes as essentially removal, and that's really nice against aggro decks and such. So this definitely deserves a sideboard slot. And Heroic Intervention. Obviously, it's partly in there because Ajani saves the day, and so it's cat-themed. Let's do that. But also, we're playing a bunch of creatures, if you didn't notice. And sometimes we'll get swept, or we'll be in a really disadvantageous combat situation. And Heroic Intervention can change all of that without our opponent ever knowing it's about to happen. So that's nice. And here's your Meower rankings right here. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm probably not done, but anyway, here's your power rankings right here. A final score of 53, which is bad. It's fairly very bad score, but, you know, it's a cat-themed deck. What do you want? We are playing some removal, though. You know, we've got some cats that are, like, halfway above curve. You know, we've got, like, a 1-mana possible 2/2, a couple of 3-power 2-drops. You know, we got a couple of 4-power 3-drops. So, like, you know, stuff is happening for us. On curve in this deck. Regal Caracal can come down turn 5, make all of those already decently on curve cats a little bigger. So we've got a game plan. We've got a game plan, and we've got some removal. We've got some supplementary stuff. So we're definitely not the worst deck ever, but don't expect to go to your GP and just wreck face with cats. You know, if you have an F&M that's not entirely hostile, then this can be a fun deck to maybe go try and win a couple of packs with. But again, don't expect it to change the world. We're just trying to play cats. And one of the best things about the deck is its $20 price tag, you know, and mostly that's due to stuff like Ajani, and we're playing, you know, 4 whole copies of Prowling Serpopard. It's like $1.25 now. So there are some almost expensive, but not really cards in the deck. And to be honest, $20 is not much to ask for, like, a lot of fun. You know, if you're just playing casually at the lunchroom table or the kitchen table or whatever, or you're just looking for something to play in between rounds at your card shop or whatever, then this is not a terribly bad deck. It's at least a lot of fun. So, and if you do take this to F&M, people will probably love that you're trying this. But I'm tapped out for now. That's all I've got to say about this one. That's the worst one so far. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this one down there in the comments. What didn't we play? How do you feel about the composition here, you know? Just try it out and let me know how you did with it. I'm really interested in that. Because the deck's not going to pull off a whole bunch of high-profile wins or anything, but it can sneak up on people like Cats likes to do. Just come out of nowhere and, like, pull off some slick wins occasionally. Again, we're not looking to change the world here. Give it a shot. Let me know how you feel about it. what are we doing next time? Well, I had a couple of secret projects, but now I want to know which one you want to see first, so let me bring these to light. First of all, 1v1 Commander is now a thing on MTGO, and a lot of people already play 1v1 Commander in real life, so a lot of spotlight right now on this format, and I would really, really like to build a budget deck for that format. I've already worked on a couple of things here, and I've got something I'm very close to ready to present to you, so, and it's not a Baral deck. Those in the know that Baral is just about the only thing being played on MTGO right now in Commander 1v1. So we got to beat Baral. I've got a couple of ideas. So let me know, do you want to see the budget 1v1 Commander deck? Or we could also do this. It is Modern weekend here in the Magic community. There's a couple of high-ish profile Modern events right now going on. So what you might want to see next is a budget Modern deck. A lot of you people ask me all the time for Modern decks, and I probably do like 2 a year. So it's about time for another budget Modern deck. I've been looking into some stuff, and yet again, I've got something I'm almost close to ready to present to you in the next few days here. So let me know if you want to see that. We can either do the budget Modern deck or the budget 1v1 Commander deck. Still some mystery in here. I just want to know which format you'd rather see. But that's all we've got for now. If you enjoyed the content, like the content, helps me out more than a lot of stuff you could do. And you'd also help me out by checking out Patreon, patreon.com/SBMTG. Follow me on Twitter at SBMTGDev, and I will see you cats later. I say that a lot anyway, but it's a pun this time, so I'll take it. But anyway, I'll see you all later. Thanks for watching, my wizards. Anyways, look at... This is... Oh, what are you doing, Ziggs?
Hey, fatty.
Oh, he is a fatty. Look at... Oh, did we hurt your feelings? Don't get all crazy. You sweet baby. Where are you going? Oh, you're itchy.